our garden. So that was pretty awesome. Took a lot of work. But as a matter of fact, I was, I was out in the garden, um, and we were just so busy, and all of a sudden I'm like, what time is it? Because we don't usually have this meeting on Friday, and Julie's like, I don't know what time it is, and I'm like, later. So anyway, I came in like 5 minutes ago, so I did not miss it. Awesome, but I got to working, so good to see everybody. Well, how many people we got here? 86, sweet. Like your cut, G. Yeah, that kid has hair like his mom's. If he doesn't brush it for 2 days, and he's 12, so he doesn't for like 2 months, he gets like, he used to get like just rat-sized lumps that were like dreads. So finally, I think a year and a half ago, he went for it. And of course, with anything like that, you know, he understands the responsibility that comes with sporting that hairdo. And of course, his dad's been teaching about race relations forever. So those guys, they get it all, and they have to understand it all. But yeah, man, his hair just keeps getting longer and longer and longer. And I think he likes that he doesn't have to do much with it. Although I will say this, if anybody thinks that dreads are like the easy hairdo, they are not. They take more maintenance than just about anything I can imagine. But now that they're kind of going, whatever. And I think he's the only 12-year-old probably in his middle school with dreads. But he just had long white hair like all the way down to his back and looked like Legolas before that anyway, from Lord of the Rings. So, all right, anyway. I'll introduce you to Storm sometime if he comes by. All right, so let's kind of get down to business today. A couple reviews. I don't think if I'm right, and let me look here. Tonight we have the content assignment due, right? And then yesterday was the deadline for the discussion or the first post? Just the first post, I think. Anyway, no, the whole discussion. Yeah. Good. All right. Well, I've been giving heads up. Like I said, it's the end of the week. So anyway, make sure that you have watched the lectures through chapter 3. I'm going to talk about chapter 3 today. I'll release a few top hat questions that I'll have them go later into the evening tonight. And then we'll continue and sort of wrap up with chapter 3 on Monday. And then maybe Monday or Wednesday, we'll talk about chicken people. Which I really want to talk about. So that's kind of our thing. Tonight, that content is due, so I'm assuming everybody's already read anyway through chapters 1, 2, and 3 and watched the videos. Make sure you turn it in. Now, if you're like, hey, I just can't get it done, what should I do? Don't rush to turn it in. And make sure that you turn it in the next day, but done well. Okay, so I think it's 3 points off per day for any assignment. So whatever that is, it's worth taking an extra 24 hours to make sure it's done right if you find yourself in a bind. All right, so let's move on. We are doing chapter 3 on culture. Certainly chapter 3, I think, is a lot more fun than the first 2 chapters. And now we kind of get into some good stuff. So today, later, I will have the top hat questions. There's going to be a bunch of them because I want Monday to discuss a whole lot about chapter 3. Today we'll do a little bit of that, but then next Monday we'll really get into it. But we're gonna do something today that is probably risking my life. All right, so we're gonna do a couple of things today, and Monday they're gonna be exciting. All right, so let's get to the question first. Does anybody have? You can unmute your mic or type something. Does anybody have any questions since we're getting sort of like the old business taken care of? What do you think? I'll wait for a second just to make sure. Anybody? All right. Good. So let's look at a question. Let me pull it up here, and you can do something if you want. Where did it go? Here we go. All right. Do you believe that the U.S. culture is superior to that of most other countries? 104 no. Did I ask this question yet? No? Okay, did we go over it? Okay, so 104 no and 15 yes. So why no or why yes is the United States culture superior to that of most other cultures? What do you think? Anybody? Economy? So is that a yes or a no? Somebody, well, what did you answer and why, basically? Because there isn't an object best culture?
Okay. I'm sitting at my desk.
Somebody, anybody? Can you repeat the question? Sure. Question that was on top of that was, do you believe the United States culture is superior to that of most other cultures? 15 people said no, or 15 people said yes.
The thing is, I'm in a Coach class right now on Zoom, but I don't know if I can leave. Like,
I think somebody has their microphone unmuted, and you need to mute that probably. Oh, shoot. All right. All right. So I'll go on to the next one then. All right. And I wish I had more of these things. Let's go.
And I'm getting coffee with whatever her name is. No.
Is that Brooke? Oh, there we go.
No. Yeah, at 12:45.
All right, Brooke.
But you can come with us. Momo Lolo. Oh.
All right, let me scan.
Oh.
Who's got it?
No.
Is it Dalen?
Okay.
Dalen.
Do you want to come to my room, or are you trying to study? Yeah.
All right. All right, I got it. Sorry, everybody. Before we hear anything else, I think we needed to mute that. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Well, that could have been worse, right? Sociologically speaking, that could have been a lot worse. I feel like, I just need a drink of coffee here. Oh my goodness. That is pretty hilarious though. It's kind of like somebody's internal dialogue. Like if we were in the real classroom, if somebody's like internal dialogue got unmuted and just like, or all the conversations that people are actually having on their phone during class, if that was just suddenly broadcast. Like I said, I think we got away with that one. All right. Whew. All right. Okay. So I didn't ask this one, but I'm going to ask this now because we're talking about culture. And I really do want to talk about the differences between culture like now and maybe in the 1950s. Okay. So I had that picture up on my slides of Elvis, right? And then I had a picture up of Axl Rose in some hot pants flipping somebody off. Who knows? If you like Guns N' Roses or you think Axl Rose is an interesting guy, you can go to YouTube and actually find a montage of him jumping into the audience to beat people up. Just a whole video of Axl doing that. Anyway, I remember the first time I played my boys Guns N' Roses, like a live show on YouTube. I like, when they were real little, I didn't give them any baby Beethoven. I was just like playing them whatever it was, you know, and showing them whatever it was. So if you were to watch Elvis, right, and that this black music is hitting white America, that is so very different than like Guns N' Roses or like Dr. Dre. I mean, and so as culture changes, right, music evolves, and that's like one piece, because we have to understand just how intense that was. And I'm kind of prepared to do something this morning. Even I guess I've been up. I'm more awake than usual, but I'm not sure if I should do it for class. It's a risk, and it's highly sexualized. So you're all adults, but I think I should do this. Okay. So do you know? Let's do it. All right. Did you know that Elvis was only shown from the waist up? Were you all aware of that? When they first broadcast Elvis on TV, I mean, here's the deal. A white guy playing black music in front of people and gyrating his hips and dancing and singing. I mean, he was going to drive all white women crazy. It was going to be the end of culture. And of course, I'm joking, but to a certain degree, I'm not. So they censored a ton, but let me show you. So I'm going to do something today. and I know I'm your teacher. Let me step away. You can look away if you want. Like I said, this is highly sexualized. So let me give you a little example of what was driving America crazy back in 1950. Here we go. Okay. Are you ready? You can turn around. You're all adults. Here we go. Here we go. No, not doing it for you. This, hold on. Do one of these. No, what's the deal? What's the deal? Nobody was going crazy. I mean, nobody fainted like they did for Elvis. I didn't hear anybody unmute and scream. Good Lord, I must be doing it wrong.
I loved it. I loved it. I think that the show is great, and I'm awake now.
If this is how your concerts go with your band, we will be there.
Yes.
Yeah.
This made my morning immaculate.
So
Period.
let's just all admit that wasn't A, very sexy, or B, very provocative, right? But I'm trying to introduce that to you from a different perspective. In culture in the 1950s, slow dancing, you had to be a certain amount apart. My dad actually got thrown out of a school dance and exorcised by a nun that she threw holy water on him for playing a Little Richard record at a dance, because that's how much of a culture shock Black music was to white America, even though white America was young white America was all about it. Okay, so culture changes. I gave you at least that not so very sexy example on a Friday. But you tell me, how has culture changed from 1950s besides that to now? Like in the classroom, at college, with gender. What do you think? Because we're talking about culture. And I said early on, and I've said it, now, again, culture is not stagnant, right? It always changes. It just doesn't stay the same. What do you think?
Well, I was going to say one thing, at least with culture and gender, like you were talking about, is there's a lot more women going to college and higher education and stuff like that than there used to be, even in American culture. So that's one thing that's changed.
Yeah, if we were sitting in a classroom in the 1950s, a lot of you who identify with the gender female wouldn't be there, correct? And if you were there, you wouldn't be wearing what? Which most people wear to my classes.
Jeans or pants?
Yeah. If you were in the classroom, and I think, like I said, my grandma was one of the first people to get a degree at Iowa State University. The only degree they offered for women was home economics. But you're there, you're going to college, she's doing that. Most people weren't, that were women at the time. But yeah, you'd be wearing a dress, right? So it would be totally different, PJs. It would be totally different than how most people roll into college classes in the morning, which is fully pajaminated. Is that a word, pajaminated? Doing it. I'm calling that right now. All right, what else is different between now and the 1950s, culture-wise?
Didn't they used to spank kids in school, for punishment?
You know what? And yes. And okay, so, right, I was born in 73, so I was in kindergarten in 80 or first grade. And I remember my first grade teacher pulling down Steve Sager's pants and bare butt spanking him in the classroom. I am not kidding you. That was in 1980. Teachers would shake kids. I know, y'all got it so rough right now, but let's be real. I saw some stuff. I'm from the 70s. That's a magical time where we didn't even have concussions. Adults were just get up, go on, get back in there, come on. But my eyes can't see. I don't care. You don't need to see. I mean, theoretically, we didn't even have helmets for our bikes. Okay, good. Yeah, absolutely. What else? Segregation. Sure. Yeah. What else? What else is different from culture in the 1950s to now?
The ideal families and stereotypes that you used to live up to, the nuclear family and stuff, where the woman would stay home and work and then the husband would go to work. It's completely changed, I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And I mean, so gender roles, work roles, I mean, that is encompassing a whole lot of stuff right there. I mean, there's an easy way to do this. There's an easy way for us to look at those family roles. But like I kind of alluded to it before, I would be risking my life. Should I do it? Should I at least, I'll at least do the first part of it, and then you can tell me whether I should do the second part of it. All right? All right. I told you this class was going to get even more interesting. Here's my phone. I'm going to look up my partner. I have her listed in my phone. Well, I better not say that, but anyway, this is Julie's. There we go. There's Julie's. It's our text line. So let's do just real quick here. I'm going to send my wife a text, and I'll talk it out loud because I don't, my thumbs are not that like good. So I'm gonna, I never do that. I always talk my text. So I'm going to talk this text. You listen to it, and this, we'll see what we think. All right. Julie, comma. Because I work so hard for the family and make most of the money, I want dinner on the table tonight at 5 p.m. sharp, period. I don't want it at 5:01, and I want to make sure it's exactly what I want when I want it, period. I have to tell you that I've had a really hard week, and although both of us have been working hard on the farm, I'm also going to need you to take the boys to practice and get up with them tomorrow so that I can sleep extra long. I've earned it, period. All right. Just to show you, there is a text there. You might not be able to see it, but I could read it again. So let me prove to you that I've been doing. Julie, because I work so hard for family and make most of the money. Okay. All right. I'm seeing your faces. Okay, hold on. She's going to know it's sarcastic. No. He's sleeping on the couch tonight. Rip. No. Ouch. Don't send it. No. So he's sleeping in the farm. Maybe outside if it's cold. No, don't send that. Okay. I would say that our chat section just went crazy. Like, why? Why is everybody like, hold on. It's like, no, there's this, okay, no, barn night, sleeping with the chickens, no.
Please press send.
Please press send.
Press send. I want to see what happened.
Look at, there's so many
Just
people.
for my entertainment, please.
There's so many people that like cared about me and were like, don't do it. And then like Lily's like, just boom, send that right now. Well, convince me why I should or why I shouldn't based on the difference in culture between 1950s and right now.
If you do send it, you can crash in my dorm room tonight.
Thanks, Blake. Thank you, man.
Weird.
I appreciate
Probably best not to send it, just because I feel like roles have changed a lot since the 70s, and women don't want to be treated like that anymore. Just a thought.
All right, good. What else?
I was gonna say that in the past, I feel like when men ask their women to do this for me, they'll respond in a respectful way and they'll do it. They wouldn't stand up for each other probably. But then now I feel like if you sent it to your wife would either like cuss you out or be like, you do it yourself.
There's been a lot of women's rights movements since then.
Yeah, absolutely, right? Somebody put, now we realize women are humans too. But yet, right, in the same year, 2020, we're still paying women, 80-some cents on the dollar, knowingly, from the same education, same school, same everything. And that's not been fixed yet, right? Like, that could be an easy fix. I think there was even a vote to do something like that, which wasn't supported forever. Maybe then it was, but that still hasn't happened, right? So, yeah, I mean, culture has changed a lot. I agree. I don't think I should send this, but I kind of want to because I'm a troublemaker. But then I also think that she might see through it. I think, dating is different nowadays. People tend to talk to people on text before actually dating. That text probably wouldn't get you a date either, I don't think, or a call back, right? Probably not. No. Good. So I just think that's an awesome example. There are so many things that have changed, obviously. And if you were to look around at 2020, you'd be like, we're still struggling for equal rights for people who identify as gender female. We're still struggling for equal rights for people based on race. We're looking at massive amounts of institutionalized discrimination that this system approves, justifies, and denies people an equal share on purpose. I mean, we know these things, and this is why sociology is really, really, really important, okay? Because we're the ones that can use those tools to identify why that's happening and change it. So it's interesting, right? Because within the context of all of this, all of everything that's going on today, all the stuff that's going to happen today that's happened this last week, let's just take that. In some instances, people today would be like, that's ridiculous. That's after these numbers are still ridiculously unequal. But we also all know, right, that it's so much better than 1950 in ways or 1970 in ways. So again, it's like, I told you culture's never stagnant, but it also always doesn't move forward in a quick way. It like, there's just not always like this moment of enlightenment where everybody's like, oh, that's right. Women are equal. We decided that decades ago. Now let's have equal pay. And that is where we get into this idea of unearned privilege. And I want kind of to remind everybody, I got in a great conversation the other day with somebody, and he said, do I need race relations training? And this is a guy who's in his 40s, who's a very open-minded dude. And I said, yes. I said, always, because it's always just going to help your perspective. But when we talk about privilege this semester or any semester, and this is what I was telling him and I tell all my classes, remember this. Look, a lot of times we're going to say things are super unequal and they are slanted the way of people who are white males or people of European descent that are males. And then I think we get caught up in two things, and that is the difference between guilt and responsibility. So when we look all semester long at these statistics, which there's a great deal of inequality, I'm never inviting people in my classes to feel guilt. Guilt is what you feel when you know something needs to be done and maybe you haven't done it like to make it better, but you know certainly there's nobody in this classroom that actually owned slaves. There's no one in this classroom that has likely, created violence on somebody based upon their gender, hopefully, right? So the idea is that, yes, culture changes and things get better, but this is about responsibility. So if anybody's ever feeling guilt as we're talking about social inequalities along different lines, that doesn't mean we're telling you need to feel guilty as a white male if that's how you identify. What we're saying is guilt is what you feel when you maybe need to do something more or we know things are unequal. Responsibility is what we take when we're presented with that. So I think that that's a great way. When you learn stuff in sociology, it's not so that it beats you down and you're like, wow, this just made me feel worse, because the wealth inequality is 8-to-1 slanted towards people of me. No, we're learning this so that we can change those numbers, because unearned privilege doesn't do anybody any good, and leveling the playing field of equality always does. If women were more equal, things would be better for everybody. If people of color were more equal, things would be better for everybody. So when we talk about that this semester, inequalities all the time, I just want us to understand that it's not about guilt. It's about what kind of responsibility are we going to take? And that's why I love sociology and my students, because you are of a generation that is choosing to take a lot more responsibility in certain ways and also ignore a lot of the biases and discrimination of the past. That doesn't mean that that represents all of this entire picture when we talk about culture, but it is one reason that I love working with people who are generally in this age group. Although I know that we have students of all different ages, and I'm probably the oldest. All right. Any other questions today? We're talking about the difference between culture. I'm going to keep going with culture a little more on Monday, and I will release Top Hat questions in just a little bit. But I love doing those two things. Those are fantastic. Usually in class when I do that, people think that I might have some rip away chaps or something like that before I do my dance, but I kept it G-rated for everybody, which is probably best. Boom. All right. Any questions before we move on, or before we just go on into the world? Anything about sociology? Anything else? No. All right. So here's the deal. Make sure you get those essays in tonight. Make sure you have in text. Do you condition your beard? Oh my. Do I really have to? I am a low maintenance dude. Like mustache wax. I don't know. That offends me. Just the thought of putting something in my beard offends me. Just got to let it do its thing. Do we cite lectures as well? Good question. Yes, you can cite the lectures. I'm not sure, though, what the format is for MLA or APA for citing a lecture, but it's different than the text. Even though I'm talking about the text, you actually would cite the lecture, the video, me. You'd have to look that up. And how long should the essay be? I think each question, because each question is an essay question. You're not writing like a 4-page thing. So number 1, and then I would say, a couple paragraphs. Confused in the format of the essay in terms of numbering questions. Well, question 1 is number 1, and then you answer it. Question 2 is number 2, and you answer it. And so they're not like a one big essay with an intro and a conclusion. Just each essay questions that you number. And the reason I want those numbered is because if it runs into each other and the next one runs into the next one, it makes it really difficult for us to grade. So yeah, awesome. Now, send either one of the GTAs or myself an email if you have any questions. Yeah, just stay in touch with us. If you want somebody to look at your stuff, yes, you do need a works cited page. And again, the answers, it's an essay question, so maybe a couple paragraphs that are detailed. And also remember, you can use your personal insight and your experiences. The reason I'm asking these questions and we're doing it this way is because life is not, I don't think college should be people with lots of information regurgitating it at people who are going to absorb it so that they can regurgitate it on tests. This is reciprocal. You know and have a lot of experiences that I do not have. Same is true with me. So we're going to learn from each other all semester long. So if you need any questions or have any questions about your work, please reach out. Any final questions? I am giving...
It's Severin.
Yeah, hey, Severin, roll it out.
Hey, I was just going to quickly comment. I had spoken to a student or two about the content assignments. I was just going to say, like, from the past, I'm going to be looking for primarily, you know, a decent response, like we're saying, a paragraph or two for each of those questions. Make sure you're citing either the lecture or the textbook. All the information you need is in the textbook. And then you want to connect that to your personal experiences. Because, I mean, if you write one sentence to answer a question, you're not going to get full points. I'm just going to be straight up with you guys. I need you guys to try your hardest and go in depth and, you know, pull out those examples and connect that to your personal experiences. That's what I'll be looking for. So like Jason said, if you have any questions, just feel free to email me. So yeah.
Awesome. That's all super solid advice from Severin. Super solid Severin advice. Yeah, awesome. So whatever citation format you are used to, APA, MLA, keep it consistent. You will have to look up how to cite a lecture yourself. Yes, and yes, next week there's an exam over chapters 1, 2, and 3. It'll open on Friday morning, and it will be open for at least 24 hours, maybe a little bit more, so that it goes into Saturday in the afternoon. I think it'll be open for 50 minutes or an hour. It's 50 questions, multiple choice, true, false, 2 points apiece. Yeah, now your paper does not need a title. Nope. All right, that's it.
How do we get that email?
Go ahead, what?
How do we get his email?
Well, I'm sure that he put an announcement up that has his email, but his email should also be on the syllabus as well, because they're the GTAs for this class specifically. And he also typed it in the chat right there down to the right. Good? Hey, I'm happy everybody turned their cameras on.
Thank you.
And I can see your faces, and today was fun. So if you're having a good time in the social class, fantastic. Remember, for as good as the time as we have, and as much as I probably need to be wearing button-up shirts instead of sweatshirts and be more formal, we're looking for formal writing. I'm looking for you to meet deadlines. This is a formal class. It doesn't mean that it's not, but I think that we can do some good learning and actually have fun. All right. So have a good Friday, everybody. Be good people and do good things. Take care. Peace.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Go out and
Bye.
make
Thank
this a better
you.
world. Yep, make it a better world. Do it.
Thank you.